Hi, I'm Ryan, and welcome to my coding bootcamp journey. In this series, I will share my experiences as I learn to code through Flatiron School's web development program. If you know anyone that would be interested in this series, please send them to the link at the bottom of your screen. All right. So, what is new this week? This week, honestly, I think I'm gonna bit off a little bit more than I can chew, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But I worked through the CRUD section of Rails, which wasn't really anything new because we're still working with active records, so like a lot of it was review in some ways, but it was more about like how do we implement how is this implemented in Rails, and also learned about the Rails generators, and I'll go into this a little bit. That it has certain functions built into it that if in the terminal, you put in like Rails generate model or Rails generate migration or Rails generate whatever. It actually, and then provided certain attributes, it will actually create a number of the building blocks. Like in some cases, it draws the routes. In some cases, it put enters enters the methods and the controllers, and builds out the view structure, and depending on which generator you use, which that's a nice little shortcut, but you gotta kind of be careful, as I'll get into later. And I also started on validations. Like whenever you're like signing up or signing up for a service or trying to it's like, username must be at least however many characters, password must be however many characters, but a tweet can't exceed 140 characters, those kinds of validations that they check what you're trying to input and make sure that it works with whatever database scheme that's set up, and to make sure it's a valid email, and that kind of thing. I just dipped my toe into that. So most of my time was going through the CRUD and the generators stuff. So yeah, that was the new stuff that happened this week. And yeah, this was definitely a rough week for me. So I had I definitely had some struggles in this one. One of the generators that I mentioned is scaffold, and there is a lab that where you just the README was written like figure out the generate command, run the generate command, and entire test suite will pass. Well, turns recently went from, I mean, Rails recently went through an upgrade from version 4 to version 5. And all of the code the lab was utilizing Rails 5. The tests were written for Rails 4. And that broke some things. And so I was stuck on this lab, and I was seeing I did went through the instructions, and I was seeing some I was seeing readouts from mini test, which I had never seen. So all the syntax of it was like totally cryptic to me. It was like reading ancient Cyrillic or something. That's just how foreign it felt, and I'm like, what is this referring to? What the heck? And it took about 2 hours of 2 hours of screen shares with ask a question to really you know really nail it down. And so it honestly, it was just it was changes to two lines of code, one on one file and one in another file. But it took a good deal of digging to see, wait, why isn't this working? And there is just a lot to dig through, and that's what the Rails generate scaffold and does is it creates, the kitchen sink, the fridge, the shower, the dining room table, and it makes a lot of decisions, like, for you. As for I mean, it's very opinionated in terms of how it designs, and it just in my opinion just ends up creating a lot of cruft. And yeah, if nothing else, that lab taught me to never use generate Rails generate scaffold again. There there are other generators that do a lot less, that it's like, what, I really don't want to have to deal with these things. I'll just use this smaller one to get me going, and then I'll figure out I'll design the rest, kind of thing. And also, I mentioned validation. So I'm still stuck on the first lab of the validations section, and I'm kind of struggling with I'm having to make a custom validation. And so that's kind of where I left off at that at I did a nice screen share with the coach, and kind of I turns out I was going 180 degrees the other direction. I was totally not going the right direction as far as the algorithm I was going for. And so, but then I hit another wall. But when you have to change directions like that, it can take a bit for your mind to catch up, at least in my case. So that at that point I was just, okay, you know what, I'm done this week. we'll we'll pick it up again on Monday. So yeah. And as I mentioned, yeah, I think I bit off a little bit more than I could chew this week. And it was a bit of a rough week because of the well, there were, granted, the struggles that I talked about in this video weren't all of the struggles. I mean, I had some smaller ones that were, it was just as I mentioned in the last video, there's a phrase that Rails follows, which is convention over configuration. So it was just, me kind of struggling along with, okay, what's the convention that I need to follow here? And so it was just small things like that uh didn't really impede my momentum. But I think that's the watermark that I've established now, 19 episodes in. So, but just figuring this out as I go along. But try to find some kind of victory every week, just so that I'm not just grinding through the muck and thinking about what I struggled with. So this week at the co-working space I'm at, they decided to serve us brunch on Friday. And so that's my victory this week, is being having cooked brunch, and hang out with the other people, and and just let the and not keep not stay focused on the code all of the time. So I listened to a podcast some months ago, and I've forgotten which podcast it was and who they were interviewing, but they were interviewing someone who had slowly worked himself up to do like incredible physical feats, like punch through a cinder block with his bare fist, and stick it, you know ha- stick his arm in, like, sub freezing water. These put himself into extreme conditions and whatnot. And one thing that he mentioned is you don't build yourself up by go constantly putting yourself at your limit. It's more about working just on the outside of your comfort zone. Yeah, kind of pushing yourself to the red line can give you, can give you information about what your limit is, but in terms of sustained growth, that's you'll wear yourself out. And and sometimes that means you just step away and say, you know what, I am not going to this is not going to be my focus today. And part part of the process is the rest. It's not just go, 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 go. You have to put some time in for rest and relaxation. So yeah, that was my big victory this week. And I'm looking forward to is is punching through the validations at this point. So I think on Monday I'm gonna do some research on custom validators, and I'm sure that there's a video recording of a study group on this very subject. So I'm gonna start from there rather than just jumping straight back into the code. So after resting a bit this weekend. So yeah, that's all I got for you this week. So I do thank you for watching. If you want to stay up to date, please like and subscribe, and feel free to check out the rest of this series. And if you do have any comments or questions, please post them below, and I'll see you in the next chapter.